Costas and Tony Kubek back at Wrigley Field in Chicago. The Cubs have had the better of it this year against the Cards. They've won 7 of the 10 meetings so far this year.
He plays baseball.
Yeah, he plays baseball.
Because he's a big boy.
Yep, the red team, so that's the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals. And that's Bruce Sutter.
What about the other team?
The other team, that's Pappy's team. Pappy's second base, and he's batting second, too.
By Ryne Sandberg, what a 1-2 punch.
My grandchildren know me as Pappy, but little by little, they started to know me as Ryne Sandberg.
Here's Pappy, Weston. It didn't go out? It went over.
It went over everything. They've seen pictures and they've seen highlights, but this is the first time they've seen the game.
Tony, not only can I not remember the last time I broadcast a game this good, I can't remember the last time I've seen a game this entertaining.
Pappy, why is it called the Sandberg Game?
The Cubs always had a certain kind of appeal because of their history, because of Wrigley Field, because of day baseball. But they were never thought of as anything other than lovable losers for most of their history.
Oh, man. Klein's going back. It's over his head. Bareham throws into the bullpen. Now Bidner looks all around. Where's that little thing? That's the year of the Chicago Cubs.
Every year we'd start out, well, maybe this year, and then maybe they'd be in first place for a couple days. And then just somehow they just found a way to lose.
Wow, come on. Boy, oh boy, look at the Cub pitching collapse today.
The 1980s are really tough. They almost lost 100 games in 1980. 81, the team was sold to the Tribune Company. The Tribune comes in, there's all this progress, and pretty much the Cubs lose 90 games year after year after year.
They weren't thought of as a contender. Then Dallas Green comes in.
If I didn't feel that we couldn't get the job done, I wouldn't be here today.
So Dallas Green was hired as the general manager of the Cubs. He came in, cleaned house.
I think an attitude and approach to work had to be changed.
Dallas was coming from the Phillies. He knew the culture. He knew what winning looked like.
So it's probably not much of a surprise that Dallas Green would go to the organization he knew most, the Phillies. So on January 27, 1982, the Cubs made one of their best trades. They acquired Larry Bowa from the Phillies for Ivan DeJesus.
He made it look like we were just trading shortstops, one for the other. But I want this kid, Sandberg, in the deal.
The key to the deal was this throw-in, Ryne Sandberg. Someone that Dallas Green knew from his minor league days, and he felt very strongly that without Ryne Sandberg in the deal, that trade's not going to be made.
I was scared to death of the trade, but he picked me for some reason. I still don't know why. Larry Bowa was going to the Cubs to be their starting shortstop, and I was the throw-in.
Larry Bowa used to always give Sandberg such a hard time about he was a player to be named later. That, man, they didn't even want you.
He struck him out.
Started off 1 for 31. I remember some articles and headlines, who's this Sandberg guy? He's in a trade, he can't get a hit. I do remember going in the manager's office, Lee Elia, with Dallas Green. They gave me a pat on the back. Hey, son, you're playing a good defense. The hits are gonna come. But looking back at it, I think it was my last chance to stay there. I needed to get some hits and I needed to get the offense going.
Rookie infielder Ryne Sandberg.
So I remember working on that along with the team, not winning a lot of baseball games.
There was no expectation in 1984 that the Cubs were going to come on like gangbusters. They had a terrible spring training. They had the worst record in the Cactus League. They were just not good at all. But they bring Bob Dernier and Gary Matthews over at very near the end of spring training. You don't see trades that late very often, but that just totally changed the makeup of the team.
Didn't particularly know if I would like the day games, but it ended up being really a blessing.
There were guys that had been accustomed to winning. We could hit, we could score, but we really needed a little more pitching at the time, and Dallas went out and got it.
Overnight, I went from a team in last place to a team that was contending for a division title. Once I got there, all of a sudden the Cubs started looking like the team that I left. The first homestand was against Philadelphia. We lose all 4 games.
And then they lost 2 out of 3 to the Pirates. Cardinals are coming to town. The talk had turned to, uh-oh, here we go again, another June swoon.
It's showtime, playing Cardinal baseball.
They were like always a thorn in the Cubs' side.
And a diving catch by Ozzie.
They were the lovable Cubs, you know, and lovable because they weren't going to be that competitive.
And they had Ozzie Smith, Willie McGee, and Tommy Herr. They also have Bruce Sutter down there.
Bruce Sutter was the premier relief pitcher in baseball in 1984.
They've got Whitey Herzog, who's, you know, kind of the genius, doing things a little bit differently. They're the, you know, run and gun, hit the ball on the turf. They just get guys on base, and they just kind of beat you that way.
That's what made baseball in the 80s so much fun, is watching the creativity of the managers.
And the Cubs in St. Louis, it's like the Hatfield and the McCoys.
And down they go as the bench is cleared.
You don't know why, you just don't like that particular person or that group, and you usually end up going out playing harder.
That whole decade of the 80s, you knew going in you had to beat the Cardinals.
You knew everybody was watching this game. It was Saturday afternoon game of the week.
NBC Sports proudly presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week.
This is the most important thing that makes the Sandberg game stand out. It was a truly national game.
The friendly confines of Wrigley Field in Chicago. Not a seat to be had as one of baseball's most heated rivalries is renewed. The Cardinals visiting the Cubs. Hi again, everybody. Bob Costas along with Tony Kubek.
Anytime you have Bob Costas or Tony Kubek covering the game, you know it's a bigger game in a sense.
It's difficult for younger people to understand, with so many ways to watch literally every game in baseball, if you wanted to realize what the game of the week was. If you lived in a non-major league city and you were a baseball fan, this was your one chance to see Fernando Valenzuela face Johnny Bench, or whatever it might have been.
Growing up in Spokane, Washington, that's the only baseball I saw on TV. It was the Saturday game of the week, and I just really had a respect for that growing up, that this was a big deal today.
Bob Dernier hitting .313, 26 stolen bases. He's developed into one of the game's best leadoff men. He'll start it for the Cubs, followed by Ryne Sandberg. What a 1-2 punch.
I knew Bobby D from the first time that I reported to Helena, Montana at 18 years old.
Unfortunately, I'm back here with a guy I played with in the minor leagues, Ryne Sandberg, and being a leadoff hitter in front of him is really a joy.
I always took a lot of pride in being the guy who was on base when these great players were hitting. And I think I helped Rhino in that department.
We're on a good team at that point in '84, and we just wanted to take advantage of this time together and kind of celebrate that, hey, we're both in the big leagues. That's what we dreamt about. And now here we are batting 1-2 for the Cubs.
Ryne Sandberg and Bobby Dernier, the Cubs' famous daily double.
Harry brought the daily double to life because he loved the horse track.
And the daily double is back in force.
So the daily double was commonly heard phrase at the track every day. Get off to a good start, right? You won the first 2 races.
Holy cow, the daily double is back at work.
I think being out front early gave us a lot of pride in being on base and scoring runs, especially at home, right?
Dernier, a big number 20 on the back of his uniform. Here's the pitch. Line drive, base hit in the left field. Dernier did it again.
Every time he gets on in that first inning, something happened.
Well, here's the other half of the Cubs' famous daily double.
It was our whole game plan to set up the rest of the lineup. He had the green light when he got on first base.
We'll give a sign to one another from first base to home plate.
There goes Dernier. Pitch is taken for a strike, and the throw is not in time.
So I had a sign with Bobby D, whether he's just straight stealing or if I was going to hit and run.
Line drive, base hit. Dernier rounds third. Zimmer says, come on home. Here's Lonnie Smith's throw, and he slides in safely. Sandberg takes second.
Ryno knocks him in. That was the recipe all year, the daily double.
So Dernier and Sandberg again ignite the Cub attack. The game is tied at 1.
We go to the top of the second inning. Steve Trout is on the hill for the Chicago Cubs.
Well, a couple things happened that day that hardly ever happened all year, so it was a good thing they got it on tape, and that was Rainbow getting lit up by the Cardinals.
Right through the wickets. The 0-2. Willie got a piece of it and bounces it over Say's head. There's no play, and the Cardinals have a 2-1 lead.
Before you know it, it's 3 guys scored, and you got 3 guys still on base, and you got no outs.
This could be in there, down the right field line. Moreland won't get there, and it'll clear the bases. Cinderella scores. Lonnie Smith right behind him. Ozzie coming in. Willie McGee will be in with a triple.
I think he put a 7 on him in less than 2 innings.
I mean, anytime you're able to score that many runs off a starting pitcher, you feel like you've accomplished your goal.
I told Ryno that I was going to go ahead and have one of my worst games ever so that he could come up and get 6 at-bats, and that was going to be our secret. So that's what really happened. I threw the game.
That's what Cinderella has done so far.
Very clever by the guys in the truck. Well, it might be a Cinderella story for Cinderella.
So Ralph Cinderella was the starting pitcher for the Cardinals. He was making his 8th Major League appearance and his first start. He definitely was not a top Cardinals prospect, but he was 9-0 at Louisville.
The Cardinals will flatly tell you we just had to give him a chance. He deserved it. 2-1 to Sandberg, who singled in the first. This could be another base hit. Ozzie dives, but he has no play. Sandberg now is 2 for 2 today and 9 hits in his last 12 at-bats. Well, you know Cinderella's heart has to be pounding a little bit. First big league start.
Ralph was one of those guys, and Whitey was good at this. When a young guy came up, he wanted to know what the guy was made of. A lot of times he just threw him into the fire.
Could be a double play ball. Ozzie to Tommy Herr. On to David Green. 6-4-3. And the Cubs are gone in the third.
You're certainly feeling good about the prospects of winning this ball game. And with the way that we played defense, there was no reason to believe that we couldn't hold on and win that game.
Ralph Cinderella was struggling in the first inning. As things going his way now.
It just didn't feel like our day from the first inning on, and falling behind. The innings were running out on us.
You got runners at first and second with 1 away. Ryne Sandberg, who's 2 for 2 today, will be the hitter. Drove in what to this moment is the only Cub run of the day. Into the dirt, rolls away from Porter, he can't find it. 2 runners move up. That's going to put their bullpen to work. Yep. Now you've got 2 runners if Sandberg can deliver.
Ozzie Smith throws Sandberg out. Johnstone crosses the plate at 7-2, and Dernier moves on to third with 2 out.
It was the weakest contact of the day, but it did the job in that moment.
Art Howe can't handle it. Dernier scores, and Matthews heads for second, and he's in there. It's 7-3.
We had that never die attitude. Our motto was, you don't make the first out or you don't make the last out. Keep the train going, we would say.
Cubs had to start chipping away, and they did. They picked up a pair. Cubs are closer as the Cardinals still lead it 7-3.
We really didn't know if the Cardinals would continue to add on and just make it a 10 or 12 run lead at some point. We're trying to come back, but Willie McGee was still doing some damage.
The next hitter, Willie McGee, who's had a big hit in this game, a triple that produced 3 runs in the second.
He was Willie, you know, he had his own way of doing it. He looked real bad on a pitch, and then you throw the same pitch and he hit the pitch for a home run.
Swinging and drives it to right. That ball is well hit. That's going to be gone. A home run.
I don't know if he hit any better against the Cubs or not, but it just seemed like he killed us.
Willie McGee is 3 for 4 with a single, a triple, and now a home run.
Cardinal fans You could hear them and their reaction to it. They were coming alive at Wrigley Field with what Willie was doing that day. But we were not going to be intimidated.
The Cubs are in a 6-run hole, 9-3 St. Louis.
We really didn't totally establish ourselves as a comeback type of a team to that amount.
Out of the stretch, he brings it, and that hit, say, in the hand. All right, they're going to make a change here. The rookie, Citarella, is gone.
We get the starter out of there. We started chipping away at the lead, and then we started feeling that.
This might drop in. It's 9-4, and the bases are still loaded.
It was just the makeup of that team. You know, we weren't going to go away, and we're going to keep fighting till the last out.
Down the third base line, and a fair ball, extra bases. 2 runs will score.
We had an attitude with the Cubs that our hitters up and down the lineup that there was no lead that was safe.
And all of a sudden, the Cubs are roaring back here. And the batter will be Sandberg, the hottest hitter on the club right now.
He was kind of that wonder boy. Nobody had yet to find out how good he really was.
I saw him coming. I saw where the flower was starting to bloom.
The last 3 games, Sandberg has really been swinging a good level bat. Here's the pitch, way high.
This game put Ryne Sandberg on the map. And because it had a national audience, it was his national coming out party.
Base hit. 1 in. Dernier waved home.
No,
They get him at second. They do. But 2 runs scored. It's 9-8.
Now the Cubs fans are really into it, and we're starting to feel, hey, this game is now obviously not over.
They're stomping, they're chanting, and cheering. It's just this echoing noise, because '84 was different.
Fireworks at Wrigley Field. We're right back into this ball game now.
Man, here we go. Here we go. And it seemed like all of the games that we played here in St. Louis was close like that.
The Cardinals have had leads of 7-1 and 9-3. It's 9-8 now in the 7th. 3-0 is the count to Jody Davis. Sutter is coming in to try and protect the 1-run lead.
Oh, no. They're bringing in Bruce Sutter. We're like, oh, no.
Greatest finisher this game's ever seen in Bruce Sutter.
Okay. Talking about the Sutter game, right?
By overwhelming consensus, Bruce Sutter was the best closer in the National League and probably the best closer in all of baseball.
When he came in, usually it was game over.
He was the guy with the pitch that disappeared. It was almost unfair.
It was like, come on, how could you leave the Cubs and go to the Cardinals?
Bruce Sutter comes on in the 8th inning, and this is a beautiful pitch as it drops in there.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You wanted a sporting chance to go against Bruce Sutter. That's quite a chore, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you want to do it?
Well, I really wanted to see how Bruce Sutter pitches flip finger fastball.
Bruce Sutter was a Cubs prospect, but he hurt his arm. And rather than tell the team, he went and had surgery. He comes back, he's lost most of his velocity on his pitch. He's about done with his career. Well, Sutter has incredibly big hands. And Fred Martin, who was the Cubs minor league pitching instructor, looked at those hands and said, I think you can throw this pitch. It's called the split finger fastball.
It just came to me. It just came to me. It's like it was meant for me. I don't know why, but it's just one of those things that, it's just weird in sports. The guy showed me how to throw it, and I threw it, and it broke right away.
It's the arm speed that sold it. Your arm's coming through at fastball velocity, so it looks like you've thrown a fastball, and the ball just doesn't come as fast. And then with the split finger action, the ball kind of tumbles a little.
Strike! It's all over, and
Suter's done it again. What a performance by Suter. What a performance.
As a Cub, he was still one of the most dominant relief pitchers in all of baseball. Unfortunately, Bruce filed for arbitration and won. It meant a big payday, a payday that the Wrigley family wasn't willing to pay. So the Cubs traded Suter to the Cardinals, the dreaded Cardinals.
It was like, we can't believe this is happening. We're like, really, you're trading Bruce Sutter? Come on.
It's one of those deals when you play on both sides of it. You know, when you're a Cub, you hate the Cardinals. When you're a Cardinal, you hate the Cubs. I mean, it's just one of those natural rivalries.
As great as Bruce Sutter was as a Cub, he even got better when he became a Cardinal.
Suter from the belt to the plate. A swing and a miss, and that's the winner! That's the winner! A World Series winner for the Cardinals!
He was going to end up with the victory, and you were going to go home feeling bad about the way things went.
Well, a while ago, it looked like the Cardinals wouldn't need Suter today. They led 9-3. Now it's 9-8.
That era, you know, the closers were coming in the seventh. It was nothing new. You know, we expected to see him early.
The pitch on the way. A high hopper that'll end the inning.
He was a lockdown guy. If the game was close, but the Cardinals had the lead late, Suter would take care of the rest of it.
Here's a little dribbler down to the first baseman. Suter covering the bag. And they get him. Easy out.
I thought there was always more pressure on the hitter because he had to hit the ball and he had to hit it where somebody couldn't catch it.
That's an easy rolling ball. Herr's got it. Over to first for the out. 2 up, 2 down.
So I always said bet on me because, you know, I'm going to throw strikes, or at least they're going to start out as strikes.
The 2-2. Dernier hits it hard, but Van Slyke comes up with it. And the Cubs are set down 1-2-3 in the 8th by Suter.
I remember the bottom of the 8th because I made the last out. It was kind of disappointing anytime you make the last out, right? But immediately I started thinking, well, we got our guts coming tonight.
The Cubs in their 9th will have Sandberg, Matthews, and Durham. Maybe we could still get a couple off Suter.
Sandberg, Matthews, and Durham will be the hitters in the last half of the 9th for the Cubs. Suter's 16 saves, leads the National League.
My previous at-bats against Bruce, he just had pitches that would just eat me up on the inside part of the plate. I knew that I was aware of what he had, but I had a little different swing going on and a different mentality. I think this was all set up from first day of spring training with Jim Fry. I knew that Jim had a hitter's background. American League play was to hit the ball out of the ballpark and drive the ball. He watched me that early spring training, and he pulled me aside. Have you ever thought about hitting the ball in the air and hitting it out of the ballpark? I said, no, I've never thought about that. I'd never been told that. So he did some drills where he gave me some soft tosses about a foot and a half inside. He wanted me to exaggerate getting the head of the bat out there to that pitch and driving it to the left side of the diamond. The second game of the season, we're in San Francisco. Greg Minton coming in. So I faced him late in the game. I was able to hit a home run to left center field in San Francisco. And that was the first time that what Jim Fry talked about in the spring really carried over into the season. I think all this is all going into one at-bat, and those types of thoughts, a lot of those are good thoughts.
Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field. Here's Ryne Sandberg to lead it off. First pitch low, ball 1.
I was able to see a pitch, which was huge, and now I'm ahead in the count.
Ryno was one of those guys who had the unique ability, if you walked him, he'd steal second one. You had to pitch to it.
On the outside corner, 1-1.
And it was vintage Bruce Sutter, hard split finger fastball, coming hard and down. I do remember aiming underneath the baseball for the first time in my career, and boom.
Into left center field and deep. This is a tie ball game.
Almost nobody had much success against Bruce Sutter at that point. He was close to invincible, which is part of what makes this game so amazing.
There were so many Cardinals that were standing, getting ready to cheer a victory, that had to sit back down, and all of a sudden the 30,000 Cub fans got to stand up and scream a little bit.
People were hugging people they didn't even know, you know, high-fiving. It was pretty awesome.
Ryno leads off the inning with a home run, and right after that, Sarge gets on.
The winning run is on with nobody out. Holy cow, what a remarkable day.
And now, okay, you know, let's see what can happen.
The runner is going, and he beat it.
Oh, he dropped the ball.
And everybody's still buzzing, right? And that's when the Cardinals remind you that they're the Cardinals and they have the greatest shortstop of all time.
Ozzie Smith to his left, flags it down, and throws him out. Moreland just threw his arms up in the air.
Game over? Nuh-uh. There's a spider. I mean, he was just like a spider. He had more reach than you might think. And guys that make a living getting hits, he was like hands in the air. Like, I mean, my life's over. I can't get a hit no more if Ozzie Smith's on the field.
Excellence is one thing. Style and presence are something else. He had all of that. So it didn't surprise me, and it shouldn't have surprised Keith Moreland either.
The 1-2. Ozzie Smith has it. Flips to her and will go to extra innings.
There's nobody like him.
When people think of momentum, most of the time they think it's offensive. I thought the opposite. Momentum can also be defensive as well. And I think that that's what really made some of the Cardinal teams in the past, is our ability to play on both sides of the ball.
There have been stars galore. Sandberg, Dernier, Willie McGee, and certainly this man, Ozzie Smith. Extra innings in Wrigley, tied at
9. Lee Smith, 7th pitcher used by Jim Fry and the Cubs.
There are things that happened in that game that happen at other points in history where you're like, oh yeah. It just showcases what Wrigley is.
Little bloop down the left side. Matthews chasing over and leaping in. Boy, what an effort. And he's upset that he didn't come up with it.
I tried to hoist myself up and then scrubbed against the wall.
And the fan just got a piece of it. But once Matthews put that glove in the stands, he's fair game. No fan interference can be called then. The fan reaches out into the playing field over the stands. Umpire can call it.
Knowing now what happened in 2003 with Steve Bartman and Moises Alou, and you see how closely Gary Matthews' attempt to handle the slicing foul ball from Ozzie Smith, how closely that resembles that play. And watching Gary Matthews' reaction, which is almost the same as Moises Alou's reaction.
You could see the frustration with Gary with having a chance to make the play and not making it, because they knew that if given a second chance, there was a chance we were going to capitalize on it.
Slaps it by him, base hit. So Ozzie now has a couple of hits and also a pair of walks. And here's Willie McGee. 3 for 5, a single, a triple, and a home run. 5 RBIs.
You're pretty much going with Lee's strength against, theirs, and you got to take your chances.
I'm trying to throw him some pitches he can't reach because Willie, he gets anxious as a hitter. So I'm trying to throw him something that I'm thinking he can't handle.
This could be a base hit. Matthews racing toward it, can't get to it. Ozzie Smith rounds third, and he'll score.
I made a hell of a pitch. The man hit it. That's why they call it baseball. I threw it, he hit it.
Lee didn't have too many bad games, but that was just going to be one of those days where hitters were going to have the best day of their lives. Some of them did.
Willie McGee has a 4-hit day, and he has hit for the cycle.
I think that says a lot. Not only hit for the cycle, but to do it on the game of the week. That's showing up to play.
The Cubs, after fighting so valiantly to catch up, now trail again.
Oh man, is this the Cubs again? Like the greatest moment that we've had in so long is going to be part of another losing comeback?
The Cardinals come up with 2, and Willie McGee was the key man of the inning. They take an 11-9 lead to the bottom of the 10th. Coming up after the baseball, Eusebio Pedroza versus Gerald Hayes from Panama. I hope it's half as exciting as this ball game has been.
Sports world was waiting behind us, so they expected the game to be over in time for us to get it to the fight. So we had to read the player of the game because there was a commercial obligation.
This week's NBC player of the game is Willie McGee. On another day, Ozzie Smith would have gotten the nod, but it was tough to ignore Willie McGee hitting for the cycle and 6 RBIs. Here's Tommy Herb, and he throws Larry Bow out.
A lot of people thought, stupidly I might add, that I was giving up on the Cubs' chances. I'd been around baseball even then long enough to know that the game is not over.
And the Cardinals are 1 out away from winning a wild one. Dernier trying to get on and give Sandberg another chance. Takes a ball.
I think the number one thing that gets lost in the Rhino game was the Bobby Dernier at bat.
With 2 out and you're down 2, you got to take a strike. You know, you got to try to hope you can work a count here, at least in the beginning of the at bat.
Dernier may be constructed. 2 runs down to go up and take a strike. That's setting the table right there, isn't it?
And he went 3-0 on me, which was stupid, right? I mean, Bruce would tell you that. You can't walk this guy. With that guy on deck, especially. So that's kind of what happened. It went to 3-0, so I'm thinking, hey, I got 3 shots here, so I've got to take 2.
Yeah. 3-1.
I was like, oh crap, I should have swung at that second one, you know, because he'll probably make a better pitch 3-2.
Many of them chanting for Sutter, the payoff pitch. He held up and took ball 4.
Nope. That was very, very close to being a strike, and I wonder if Porter boxing that ball as he didn't lose the pitch for Sutter. It was close.
Yeah, it was strike 3, but you know, he boxed it a little bit, so they called it ball 4.
I mean, absolutely crucial, you know. And by the way, you got to catch a strike. Okay, you can't be dropping a strike.
You know, it fell to our side. Thankfully, Rhino got another at bat.
Here comes the man again. What a day he's had, Sandberg.
With Bobby on first base, the pitcher's concentrating on him a little bit because he's a base-stealing threat. I'm going to be ready to hit as soon as I can. I'm just geared for the split-finger fastball once again.
I think that that's the mystique of Bruce Sutter. I mean, I think that his success rate was so good that you could bank it. And I think everybody had come to the point to where, you know, with the lead, he certainly was going to shut it down. And everybody believed that, but Ryne Sandberg.
As a younger kid at 10, 11, 12 years old, my brother and I, 6 years older, would play out in the front yard. After watching the games of the week on Saturdays, I knew the stances of the players, we knew the lineups. I was living out those types of situations in the front yard at that age as if it was a real major league game. So I went up there feeling like I was the guy to do it. And I'm thinking, you know, maybe this is my game.
They let me know that going to the bottom of the 10th, we would have to take care of the credits. We had to rattle through all that stuff. And then Sandberg had other ideas.
Our game today was produced by Ken Edmondson, directed by Bucky Gunts. Mike Weissman is the executive producer of NBC Sports, coordinating producer of baseball, Harry Coyle. 1-1 pitch. He hits it to deep left center. Look out! Do you believe it? It's gone!
It's television, and if you've got that kind of atmosphere and that kind of crowd, once you've called the details of it, you can get out of the way and let the visuals tell the story.
So then you got Harry Carey. He did it again, the crowd goes bananas, and Harry's going bananas too.
He did it again! He did it again! The game is tied! The game is tied! Holy cow!
He's just going crazy and says Ryne Sandberg about 10 times, and he does it again, and he's reacting like the bleacher bums did out there, going nuts.
Listen to this crowd. Everybody's gone bananas.
Being out there, it was deafening. I mean, coming into third base with that sound pressure hitting you, don't let people tell you that they don't hear it, because if the fans are like the fans were there at Wrigley that day, you hear plenty of that.
Don Zimmer is absolutely screaming, going ballistic. I mean, just crushed my hand with a high five coming around third and just floated right into home plate. And I do remember going into the dugout with probably the biggest smile on my face on a baseball field to that point on a major league field, as if, you know what, I belong here.
That is the man that Dallas Green wanted in the trade with the Phillies. He said, I'll make the deal if you throw in the kid, Ryne Sandberg. They threw the kid all right, didn't they? Oh.
Who in the world would figure to hit 2 home runs? One man hit 2 home runs against Sutter.
I can still see Sutter just slam his head and glove down just in disgust that I can't believe I gave up the lead again.
First of all, I yelled, duck. My grandkids looked at the film and they said, Grandpa, you said bad word. I said, no, I said duck. I was yelling at the people out in the stands. I didn't want to get hurt with the ball. So it's going to be how a chance you're going to throw the pitch that wins the game or loses the game that night. And, you just live with that.
Move over Willie McGee. There may be a new player of the game. Ryne Sandberg, 5 hits, including 2 home runs.
6 RBI.
Here's Ozzie. He took a bad hop, but that's nothing for him. He throws to Jorgensen.
Wow, what a ball game.
It really jacked us all up, beyond belief, but we're still over there going, we're just tied, we still got to win this somehow.
Tony, not only can I not remember the last time I broadcast a game this good, I can't remember the last time I've seen a game this enjoyable, this entertaining.
So many people think that Sandberg's home runs won the game, and they didn't. We still had to go on to play more extra innings.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Ground ball, we ought to be out of it. Sandberg throws him out. We go to the bottom of the 11th. 1 run would win it. All tied up.
Our scorecards are beginning to look like Egyptian hieroglyphics with all these double switches.
Each team has used 19 players.
When a game goes into extra innings, and especially when it's such a high-scoring game, it becomes a battle of attrition. So now you're down to Dave Owen.
My name is Dave Owen. I was a utility infielder for the 1984 Cubs. Later it got, you keep thinking that I might have a chance to get in and maybe pinch run or do something. And of course then I kind of realized that I'm the last guy.
Looks like Dave Owen is going to be the hitter. He's the last position player that we have left. Everybody else has been used.
He came up in a really good situation with the bases loaded and nobody out. I mean, this is our game to win now.
Owen is hitting .304, but only .133 left-handed.
One of the things that distinguishes baseball, with the game on the line in other sports, you're going to make sure as best you can that your best players are in the mix. You're going to get the ball to LeBron or Michael Jordan. But in baseball, sometimes the batter is Dave Owen, and sometimes wondrous things happen.
That's it.
I always say Jeff Lottie hit my bat. To get the game-winning hit in a game that has become so famous for what Ryan did, I'm happy to be a part of that.
All I remember after that was us running out on the field and congratulating him.
I never saw a game like this in my life, and I've been around a long life.
Wrigley Field is an absolute madhouse. Ryne Sandberg now walking across the field. An absolutely incredible day. That's right, you can wave your hat.
And just walking off, and I was thinking, wow, this was a game. This was a heck of a game.
I think the greatest boost to Sandberg's MVP campaign that year came from Whitey Herzog. After that game, when he said it's the greatest performance he's seen, he called Rhino Baby Ruth.
I mean, I think he was shell-shocked a little bit when he was asked for a comment on Sutter's got beat, not once, twice, by the same guy.
A little tongue-in-cheek. Well, he just said, well, he's Babe Ruth, you know. Yeah, he's supposed to hit 2 home runs or whatever.
What more could you say? The game almost made no sense. Ryne Sandberg in 1984 was not the greatest player he had ever seen, but it seemed like a good quote.
I think it made Rhino believe in himself. I think it made the fans believe in, hey, we got us a young superstar.
We like, what's his name, Ryne? Ryne Sandberg, yeah.
Sandberg! Sandberg! Sandberg!
And Sandberg, I mean, can you imagine in your profession any one of us having a day where we can do no wrong?
This is when Ryne Sandberg became a true star, that day.
With what Rhino had done and what we were able to do in that 3-game series, I kind of feel like that was the end of the St. Louis Cardinals, and I think that might have been the weekend where the Cub fans started thinking, hey, we're going back to the playoffs.
The Cubs go 60-34 from that point forward, and they win the division title and go to the postseason for the first time since 1945.
I think there was such a drought of generations and generations of Cub fans that didn't have anything to celebrate. I've been told nearly on a daily basis that the '84 team and that day, June 23rd, a lot of baseball fans became baseball fans or became Cubs fans and followed the Cubs from that year on.
Did somebody rip all these pages out?
It's all about the Cubs articles.
Why are they tearing?
Because that's a home run off of Bruce Sutter. Look at
Another
that.
one? Wait, who's that?
That's one of the Cubs fans.
He likes you?
Yeah,
Why?
because it was a big game.
Is that your teammate?
This is Leon Durham.
And so that's your teammate?
Yeah, here's another teammate.
That's your teammate?
Bob Dernier and Davey Owen. It's always fun looking back at the game. This is after the game. Everybody's happy.
See, look, right there, that's Pappy being happy.
It was the game that changed my life. The Cubs won.
Like,
When you talk about Sandberg, everybody talks about that game right there. And that one game in particular put him on the map.
I wouldn't say it catapulted his career. Rhino was a good player before that happened. After that, he became a great player.
This is definitely the game that calls forth the individual. Everybody has their moment in the spotlight.
He did what nobody else had been able to do, is figure out how to hit Bruce Sutter.
Into left center field and deep. This is a tie ball game.
To do it once, you know, you can call yourself lucky. But when you do it twice, that means you're for real.
Obviously, he was the Robert Redford of the story, okay? He was the natural.
Roy Hobbs, the natural, would be pleased by Sandberg's performance today. They don't come any more heroic than that.
That game kind of served notice that we were going to be around, and you know, it just made everybody start believing again.
You leave a ballpark like Wrigley Field after a game like this glowing.
Because of the confluence of events that made it such a national moment, this game has to live in the pantheon as one of the great games in Cub history.
This game is unbelievable.
I can't think of any other regular season game that has a title. The Sandberg Game. It's one of the most famous games in baseball history. This is a regular season game on a Saturday afternoon, and just all the factors came together in a perfect storm to create one of the most memorable games and the signature game of a Hall of Fame player's career.